facing fake news and the flow of information that is coming out from social media, which is a huge, extraordinary instrument of, democratization of information. But on the other hand, anybody can say anything, and it can be used, voluntarily or not, for very bad reasons, and can have very serious consequences and destabilize a society sometimes when a phenomenon takes extreme dimensions. So this is a big challenge. We have to counter that. We have to value and claim our duty, our responsibility as journalists, and to be able to do that, we have to be responsible. Journalism is a trade. You learn rules. You don't necessarily have to learn them at school. There are many ways to become a journalist, but you talk to others. You have editorial guidelines in newsrooms. You have to follow them, to discuss them. You need to basically do your job. Try not to be seizing the first information that falls on your head because you like it. So yeah, countering this is really having a sense of your responsibilities and following ethical standards, which are important in your job, which are important in the way you deal with people, you interact with the people you interview, and so on, in the way you deliver the story. The words that you use are important, terminology. Again, it's not because it's sexy that it's good. When I say sexy, I mean appealing to the wider audience. And I think you have to remember that the wider audience is demanding more and more meaning. They want things to make sense in a world that is completely confused, where a lot of things don't make sense. Our responsibility is also to try and decipher this confusion. If you're a journalist, and you have that fiber, and you have that curiosity, you have that that quest for what is happening around you, whether it's in your neighborhood, in your village, in your street, or on the other side of the world. So the rules are kind of the same. I would say there are different constraints maybe if you're working locally, and I have worked locally a long time ago, and sometimes the pressure can be actually stronger than if you're in a completely unknown territory, you're a foreigner, nobody knows you, or if they know you, they can't really, touch you. If you're working locally, everybody knows you, you know everybody. There are implications, there are, stakes. They can be commercial, they can be political, and I think local journalists are actually very brave and engaged because they are facing those pressures quite a lot of times, and they have to handle that, and I believe it's not that easy to be a local journalist. I have done reports on extremism, on the implications of extremism, on the impact on society, and learned a lot through that. If I talk about the Paris terror attacks, which I covered partly in the second phase of attacks in 2015 in November, it was very striking to me. It was, of course, very trying, very emotional, but also all the implications in the society, which is also a society that I knew because I'm French and I lived in Paris for some time, not anymore. So it was right, next door, and you respond differently. But I think what was striking was the way the society responded to that, and there was a lot of debate, a lot of discussion, a lot of disputes on how to interpret what had happened and the impact it would have, how it would change society, and it launched kind of debate within society, within all the parts of society which maybe had forgotten to talk to each other for too long, and started launching a discussion again. It was very painful for everybody, but I think we have to learn from those experiences, whether it was in Paris or anywhere else in the world. It should be a signal saying, okay, there is something going wrong in this society. Let's try and do something to fix it before it happens again anywhere. And I think this is one of the lessons maybe that I've learned. We are all humans. We can't avoid having emotions, and this is one of the difficulties in very emotional situations, how to find the balance between your emotions and the information you have a responsibility to deliver. So you can use your emotions because you are in situations, and I mentioned stories when these people are crying, they are distraught. Now, you are here to convey their emotions. You can have some, but you need to, you use them to feel some empathy and be able to share that story, but it is not your story. And you have to remember that. Nobody cares about, Valerie feels very sad because somebody is crying in front of her. My point of view, my own emotions count for nothing or not much, except that they will be a vehicle to, convey the atmosphere, the sentiment, the things that are happening around me. I have to feel something to be able to understand what is going on around me, and it's precious. And I hope I will never lose that emotional kind of capacity. But I try not to, substitute myself to somebody who is in real pain because it's happening to them and not to me.